think what music people means to me is that it's somebody that gets it. You know, there's many people that listen to music and just listen to music. There's other people that they have to listen to, you know, like I get up in the morning, I got to put on music. I get in my car, I listen to music. I go to work, I put on Spotify, just a nice mix or whatever. Like the greatest invention ever was Spotify, because once they get your, once they get your genre down, you just listen to it, and it just plays song after song after song, songs you never heard before, and you're like, wow, I like that song. Let me look, who was that? That was good. Like it puts mixes together. You know, back in the day, you used to have to buy CDs and albums, and it cost you $400 million. Now you pay $10, and you get like the world of music at your fingertips. But I would say a music person is just somebody that gets it. You know, like took my son, going back to the TTB stuff. We were very close. I had like third or fourth row at the Beacon. Came out, center, right in the center. Susan comes out, she starts singing. My buddy Big Mike is behind me. She's singing a song. I look to my right. My son's got tears coming down his eyes. And Mike taps me on the shoulder and he goes, he gets it. I go, he gets it. Because it touches your soul. It's like, music is everything to me. I can't even think about my life without music. My music, Mountain Jam, Warren Haynes, they've turned me on to music. Not only have they turned me on to music, they've turned me on to my best friends. I met my best friends on the rail at Mountain Jam. You know, we became, lifelong, inseparable friends because of music. So it's just, it's everything. That's really the answer. Fantastic. I love doing it because it's like a really cool like group of people, like the Squirrel Squad, because if you know the Capitol Theater, the squirrels are all over in the architecture. So, it just morphed into, being friends and meeting new people and going to shows and handing out the cards and, oh, you're with the Capitol Theater, you're with the Capitol Theater, and we're like, yeah. Because we were coming back to the Cap after the pandemic, and they wanted to announce that they're gonna start announcing shows. So Stephanie May, who we work with, and she's pretty much head of the promotions at the Capitol Theater, she put something together at Garcia's, which is the bar, as you know, the bar next to the Cap. We're connected to the Cap, and she invited everybody down to basically break the news that the Cap is back. So she came in. We're all sitting around, and my friend Sue says, so, we know you have something to tell us. And she's like, 9 nights of Phil in October. And everybody went crazy. We're like, oh my God, we're back. So that was like the big deal. We're like, when can we tell people? When can we announce it? She's like, we're going to announce it next Tuesday. So everybody, we keep quiet. We're not supposed to talk until they until they tell us to start promoting. But there's no promotion needed. The Capitol's back. Everybody's been waiting a year and a half. We don't have to hang up posters and we don't have to hand out cards. These shows are going to sell out because everybody's waiting. Everybody's jonesing to come back to the Cap. So in the interim, after she made the news, then we took a tour of the Cap, which you can do. Just a layman person can contact them and take a nice walking tour of the back. Down in the basement, you see where the bands hang out when they're there. You see all the dressing rooms. You see the history. There's pictures on the walls all over the place. Because the Cap's been around for 100 years. Not a lot of people realize that. When I was growing up, I was probably my most influential band that I listened to 24/7 was Rush. That was my go-to. Like the second I heard Tom Sawyer, I was hooked. I went back, I went to all the old albums, and I was the type of person that, we didn't have Spotify, we didn't have Nugs, we didn't have all these things. So if I used to see a band live, the next day I was in the record store and I was buying all their albums. I was just like hooked. The live music I caught the live music bug like from my first show. So Rush was my first show, my first live show. My mom loves music, my mom's a dancer, would love to, all the oldies, she would listen to, I mean, anything from like the Supremes to like Elvis to Chuck Berry, stuff like that. But I don't really remember in the house. In the car, definitely. You know, they always had music on in the car. But so I didn't really have influences that way. My influence probably in my first musical experience, like I had older cousins, and they lived in the Bronx, and we went to their house, and my cousin had wall-to-wall Kiss posters, wall-to-wall, and he used to put the makeup on, and at nighttime he used to blow fire. All his friends would come over from the block, and they would do it, and it was like, you know, you're a little kid, and like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then I had to put Kiss posters. You know, I had my whole basement on Leon Avenue, wall-to-wall Kiss posters from like 16 magazine and all that, Circus magazine. So Kiss was a big, you know, a big band for me. But I also knew, like, as I got older, like Kiss was, I'm not gonna say a gimmick because I really still listen to them, you know, but not like the stuff I listen to now. Totally different. But what I will say, as far as like my musical taste growing, I was telling you the story before about Barnabas. So I was going through a divorce, you know, I was, you know, hadn't seen a show in years because I had, you know, my business, I had my little kids, I had my wife, and just in that time, you know, like, so after things settled down and I was, you know, separated, I had a little bit of free time, Barney said to me, you know, Joe B, I want you to come and see this band, Government Mule. I'm like, okay. He says, we're going to go. He goes, I usually go. It's December 30th. We always go on December 30th. The 31st is really cool, too, but the 31st they do like a lot of covers and this and that, so let's go on the 30th. I'm like, awesome. So we go to the Beacon. Sit down. I have no idea what to expect. Never listened to Government Mule. Didn't know anything. He just knew, like, what I like to listen to music-wise. Sit down. The opening act is North Mississippi All-Stars. So they come out, and they're just like blowing me. Luther is like blowing me away on the guitar. They come out and they play a Hear My Train A-Comin' that's just melts your face. So they played for maybe 45 minutes. They're done. I'm like, oh my God, Barn, thank you so much, Barn. That was awesome. He's like, just wait, Joe B. Wait. You didn't see Government Mule yet. Mule comes out. Warren, from this first freaking note to his first, you know, first thing out of his mouth, just life-changing. Totally life-changing. Play an hour, hour and a half, done. I'm like, Barney, thank you. I'm like, seriously, thank you for, like, I want to go see them again. He's like, Joe B, they're not done. This is the set break. I'm like, what? I was not into this scene. I wasn't into, I didn't really know. You know, the concerts I had seen in the past, you know, 10 o'clock, hard stop, 10:30 if you're lucky, maybe an encore, you'd go home at 11. Mule played till like 12:30, whatever, 1:45 maybe. Got in the car, I was like smiling ear to ear. I was literally blown away. So that, you know, fast forward a little bit, now I'm like all into Mule. I'm like, Barn, you gotta like tell me, I want to see them again, I want to see them again. He goes, they have a festival, Mountain Jam. So I'm like, I want to go. And this happened to be the third Mountain Jam. Barney had gone, I don't think he ever went to the first one, but he was at the second one. So, again, life-changing experience. We didn't miss a Mountain Jam. I think we went to like 10 or 11 in a row. And, you know, we could talk about that, but, so I would say Barney is a huge, you know, I give him all the credit for turning me on to that. And then that morphs into who's my influence. I would say Warren Haynes, because Warren Haynes, by having these musical acts at Mountain Jam that you've never heard of before, okay, and he has acts from like Michael Fronte to Grace Potter to Sister Sparrow to, you know, local bands, big bands, you know, it was all about all these other people that he was giving an opportunity to, and there was always, you left Mountain Jam every year with at least 4 or 5 new bands in your pocket that you were like, I want to go see them now, and it just snowballs. So you go in to see, like, when I was growing up, I used to see, like, Rush would play once every 2 years. You know, you're lucky if you saw Pink Floyd once every 3 years. You know, now all of a sudden I'm going to see bands that I can go to 50 shows a year because they like, snowballed. And that The rail was just something that I've always wanted to be close, because I just feel that when you're closer to the music, you just have a different connection with the artists on the stage. If you could stand right in front of the speaker, which I've always been able to do, it never never gave me any kind of vertigo or anything like that. I just love it loud, so even going to the city when we used to go to see our friends' bands at the Limelight or Wetlands, something like that, always in front of the speaker. I used to actually stand on the left because Warren was on the left, so I wanted to be on the left, right? Then we started going to Cap. My friend Susie, she loved the right rail. That was the right rail. And then, Northeast Rail Riders were the rail riders, So we morphed over to the right. Again, we're not entitled. We don't feel like, once you're there and it's yours forever. If somebody's shorter than us, we always let them in front of us. That's not right. I don't want somebody staring at my back. If there's a short little person, come and stand in front of me. If somebody's standing there and they say, can I just sneak in and take a picture? Dude, come on in, take some pictures. When the person comes in like a fucking bull, bum rushes me, and knocks me out of the way, then you know what? Then the arm bars come out, then you're like, there's no way you're getting past us. Get the fuck out. That's not how you do it. There's etiquette. There's etiquette and there's consideration for everybody. And that's anywhere. The other reason I like being on the rail is the chatter. When you're up there and it's so loud, you can't hear the chatter. A lot of people go to shows, and I understand it's their night out, and they're just so excited, and they like to have conversations with their friends and this and that. If you want to talk, just take it in the back a little bit. That's all. But I like to stay on the rail because I don't hear it. There's nobody. There's only a couple people behind me. Nobody in front of me, and that's another reason that I like to stay up there. Why is it? Like I said, it's just a connection. It's the connection with the artist. It's being close. It's seeing their expressions. It's like talking to them. Sometimes they'll give you a little wink, a little look. They'll talk to you, Now, it's not... Certain bands, I could stay there the whole time. Other bands, I like to mingle a little bit, get the whole experience. Go over here, listen to the sound from this end, listen to the sound on that end, see the lights, because it really is, and there's not a bad seat in the Cap, no matter where you are. Even if you're in the last row of the upper deck, perfect seats. Now Mo's my band. Mo's my number one band, hands down. Al Schneer, the guitarist, there's an Al Schneer, and there's Chuck Garvey. Chuck's the left, Al's the right. We stay Al side, Chuck's fans stay Chuck's side. There's a battle, an internal battle between us Mo fans, Chuck's side sucks, Al side, Chuck's side, Al side. So we're Al side. It became this whole big thing where we have outside pins, we have outside merch, we have outside hats. And, that's where we like to be. So any show that we go to, whether it's Mo or not, we're always like, I'll meet you outside. I'll meet you outside. I'll meet you outside.
So Beatles or Stones?
Beatles. Yeah. And that's nothing against the Stones, because I love the Stones. I just feel like the Beatles, they're like a bunch of different bands. I feel like the Rolling Stones got a specific sound and continued with that sound. The Beatles completely changed their sound from when they started to when they ended, and I just feel like a lot of my favorite songs have to do with the Beatles, no doubt. They are kind of an acquired taste simply because of John Bell's voice. They're musically, second to none. Music, they blow most bands away. Jimmy Herring is just phenomenal. Schools is just, he drives the train, man. He's a beast on the bass. But John Bell has that voice where you either love it or you don't. And I love it. And one of my friends one time said, because one of my friends was complaining, I don't really like Panic, the voice, he really gets to me. And my friend said, you know what? John Bell's voice is full of life experience. Like when you hear it, it's raspy. It's, he doesn't have that beautiful, like, harmonical voice that you hear, like, with the angels singing. Like, he's been through it. He's been there. He's done it. And that's what it feels like. And when you hear a Panic song, you feel like you've been there. They make you feel what he's feeling. And that's why I love Panic so much. I mean, Tedeschi Trucks, one of my top, 1 and 1A, let's say, of bands that I love. Again, going back to Mountain Jam, first time I saw the Derek Trucks band was at Mountain Jam, and it blew me away. Then probably one of the first times I saw Susan was sitting in with Derek. Then I would see Susan, her band, alone, like whether we went to Long Island or we went to, the city, the Central Park, whatever. Then when they morphed into the TTB, they just became the super powerhouse of all powerhouses. So we've done the run at the Beacon, that when the Allman Brothers hung it up, I feel like TTB took over the Beacon, where they do their 6-night run, their 7-night residency. They just announced it for October. We're all like super, super psyched for it. But my buddy Mike lives in Boston, and Boston is pretty much Susan's home base. So he tells me all the time, you gotta come to Boston to see TTB, because they play at this the Orpheum, and then they go to certain places, and he's like, after the show we'll go hang out. I guarantee you one of these places they'll be at. So I'm like, dude, I would love to. Like, that sounds amazing. So went to the shows. Of course, the shows were like phenomenal. And then we went out to a place one night. We're at the bar. All of a sudden, here come one by one. Here comes the band, and they were in the back room. But we were kind of hanging out with major TTB fans and family of TTB, just in the bar part. So they came over, they said hello, they were chilling with us, and then they went in the back and they had their after show dinner and their drinks and this and that. And after they were done, like, nobody, and everybody's cool, nobody's bothering them, nobody's, being a, drunk idiot going up and disturbing them. And then after they were done, they came out and they're drinking with us, hanging out, and my buddy Mike went outside, and he had what do you call it, like a cigarette case that he was going to give to Kofi, because Mike knew Kofi and he had this thing.
Who's Kofi?
Kofi was in TTB. He passed away a few years ago.
Okay.
He had a heart attack. So Mike had brought it specifically if he ran into Derek. So he goes, I had this for Kofi, and I know you like to go fishing. I figured it was for him. I thought you would like it. So Derek was so gracious, oh man, this is amazing. Thank you so much. He's like, I'll definitely take it fishing, and I'll think of you, and I'll think of Kofi when I smoke. And then afterwards, they were getting ready to split, and they're like, guys, we're gonna take off. I'm like, Derek, can I get a quick selfie? He's like, absolutely. So I took that picture, and then the best part of the whole thing, Susan comes out, says her goodbyes, gives everybody hugs. Her and Derek holding hands, walking down the street in Boston, like just two normal lovebirds walking out to the distance. I'm like, I didn't take a picture of that, which I really should have. That was the coolest thing ever. And that, they're just, TTB is just gives you it's a family. They travel, the whole family, everybody's family in that band travels together.